My husband Daniel laughed at me, not a small chuckle, a real, loud laugh that filled our kitchen. I had just told him I was tired of being treated like nothing, that I deserved better, that maybe I should leave. He wiped fake tears from his eyes and said, "Leave, you, Amira, you'd never survive without me, you need me more than I need you." His words felt like a slap, but I didn't cry, I didn't yell back, I just turned around and walked to our bedroom. My hands were shaking, but my mind was suddenly clear. I opened my closet and pulled out a small notebook I kept hidden. I wrote down the date. Today was the day everything changed. He thought I was weak, he thought I'd never do it. He was wrong. If you're watching this video, please like, subscribe to the channel and tell me in the comments where you're watching my story from. I want to know how far it has traveled. Looking back, I should have seen the signs earlier. Daniel didn't hit me with his hands, he hit me with his words. In front of our friends, he'd joke about how I couldn't cook right or dress properly. When I got upset, he'd say I was too sensitive, that I couldn't take a joke. He made me feel small, stupid, like I was lucky he even stayed with me. I started believing him. I stopped wearing bright colors, stopped laughing too loud. I became a shadow in my own home. But that laugh in the kitchen woke something inside me. That night I checked our bank account online. There was a transaction I didn't recognize. $500 sent to someone named El Martinez. I didn't know any Martinez, but Daniel did. Daniel left for another business trip the next morning. He kissed my forehead like everything was normal. "I'll be gone 3 days," he said. "Seattle conference, don't wait up." I nodded and waved goodbye, but something felt wrong. An hour later I checked my phone. Daniel's location was on. We shared it months ago for emergencies. My heart stopped. The little dot showing his location wasn't moving toward the airport. It was downtown, at a hotel, 10 minutes from our house. My hands shook as I took a screenshot, then another. He wasn't in Seattle. He was lying, again. I was about to call him when I heard his voice on the phone in the next room, but there was another voice too, a woman's voice. Soft, laughing. I couldn't sleep that night. I waited until I was sure Daniel wouldn't come home, then I started searching. I checked his drawers, his jacket pockets, even the garage. In his gym bag I found a receipt, dinner for 2 at an expensive restaurant. The same night he said he worked late. I found a gift box hidden behind old shoes. Inside was a gold bracelet. I'd never seen it before. He never gave me gifts like that. Then I smelled it, perfume, on his coat. Sweet and flowery. Not mine. My stomach turned, but I didn't cry. I kept looking. And then I found it. A second phone, hidden inside a toolbox in the basement. My heart pounded as I turned it on. Phone unlocked easily. No password. He didn't think he'd ever get caught. The messages were all there, hundreds of them, to someone named Leela. He called her baby. He sent her hearts and kissy faces. He bought her flowers, jewelry, trips to nice hotels, things he never did for me. But the worst part, they talked about me. He called me boring, predictable, a burden. Leela sent laughing emojis. One message made my blood run cold. Leela wrote, "What if she finds out?" Daniel replied, "She won't. And even if she does, she'd never leave. She's too weak. She has nowhere to go." I sat on the basement floor holding that phone. For the first time I felt something new, not sadness, not fear, anger, pure cold anger. The next morning I made Daniel breakfast. Eggs, toast, orange juice. I smiled when he came downstairs. He looked surprised. "You're in a good mood," he said. I shrugged. "Just trying to be a better wife." He bought it. He actually smiled back. That week I played the perfect role. I didn't ask questions, didn't start fights. I laughed at his jokes, kissed him goodbye. But every night when he fell asleep I took pictures. I photographed the receipts, the messages, the bank statements. I wrote down dates and names. I made copies of everything. Then I made a call. A lawyer named Ms. Rivers answered. I told her everything. She listened carefully. At the end she said 6 words that changed everything. "We can make him pay, Amira." Ms. Rivers explained something I didn't know. Daniel had been using our joint account to pay for Leela. Fancy dinners, hotel rooms, even a weekend trip to the coast. In court that's called marital waste. It meant he was spending our money on his affair. That was illegal. And it gave me power. "If we play this right," Ms. Rivers said, "you could get most of the assets, the house, the car, savings, even part of his retirement fund." I felt dizzy. I'd spent years thinking I needed him. That I couldn't survive alone, but the truth was different. I wasn't the weak one. He was the one who cheated, lied and stole, and now he'd pay for it. Ms. Rivers smiled. "Let's take him down, Amira." I stopped arguing with Daniel. I stopped crying when he ignored me. I stopped reacting when he mocked me. I just smiled, nodded, agreed. He thought he'd won. He thought I'd finally accepted my place. "You're being so good lately," he said one night, patting my head like I was a dog. I bit my tongue and smiled. Inside I was counting down. I rented a small apartment across town. Nothing fancy, just one bedroom, but it was mine. I moved small things there slowly. Photo albums. My favorite books, clothes, things he'd never notice were gone. Every box I packed felt like freedom. Daniel had no idea. He thought I was defeated. He had no clue I was planning his destruction. I started preparing for my exit. I called my job and made sure all my documents were updated. I changed my emergency contact. I updated my beneficiaries on my insurance. I even opened a new bank account he didn't know about. Slowly, I moved money into it. Not much, just enough to survive. Then something unexpected happened. I got a text from an unknown number. "Hey baby, can't wait to see you tonight." It was meant for Daniel. But the sender had clicked my number by mistake. It was Leela. My heart raced. I didn't respond. Instead, I saved the number. Then I did something clever. I pretended to be Daniel and texted back. "Miss you too. Amira doesn't suspect a thing." Leela replied immediately, spilling everything. Leela thought she was talking to Daniel. She sent message after message. She bragged about the gifts, laughed about me, said I was too dumb to notice. She even sent pictures of them together, kissing, holding hands at restaurants I recognized. My hands shook, but I kept my face calm. I screenshotted everything, every word, every picture, every cruel joke. Then I forwarded it all to Ms. Rivers with one sentence. "It's time," she replied in seconds. "Perfect, this is everything we need, let's file." That night I slept better than I had in months. No fear, no doubt, just cold, clear certainty. Daniel's world was about to collapse, and he had no idea it was coming. Daniel came home that Friday acting like a king. He threw his jacket on the couch and complained about dinner. "This chicken is too dry," he said, pushing his plate away. I didn't say anything. I just nodded and cleared the table. He didn't even notice I wasn't upset. He went to watch TV, laughing at some show. I went to the bedroom and opened my laptop. I stared at the divorce papers Ms. Rivers had sent. They were ready. All I had to do was sign. My hand hovered over the mouse. Then I thought about his laugh, his cruelty, his lies. I clicked approve. The papers were filed. Monday morning a server would deliver them to his office. I set the date on my calendar. Then I turned off the light and fell asleep, smiling. I spent the weekend packing the last of my things. Daniel didn't notice. He was too busy texting Leela. On Sunday night I took off my wedding ring and placed it on his nightstand. I didn't leave a note. I didn't need to. The papers would say everything. That night I stayed at my new apartment. It was small and quiet, but it was mine. No yelling, no insults, no fear, just peace. Ms. Rivers called me early Monday morning. "The server is on his way to Daniel's office. Are you ready?" I took a deep breath. My hands weren't shaking anymore. "Yes," I said, "I'm ready." She laughed softly. "Good, let's finish this." At exactly 9 a.m. Daniel's nightmare began, and I was finally free. Daniel got the papers at work. Ms. Rivers had arranged it that way on purpose. Maximum embarrassment. I wasn't there, but she told me later what happened. He opened the envelope in front of his co-workers. His face went white, then red, then he started shouting. He tried calling me, once, twice, 11 times. I didn't answer. I blocked his number. He left voicemails screaming, begging, threatening. "You can't do this," he yelled. "You're nothing without me." But the papers didn't lie. They listed everything. The affair, the money he spent on Leela, the emotional abuse, the evidence. I had it all. By lunchtime, everyone in his office knew. By evening, his friends knew. His family knew. And Leela, she disappeared the second she found out. She didn't want a broke, divorced man. Daniel showed up at the house that night, but I wasn't there. The locks were changed. Ms. Rivers had arranged that too. He banged on the door shouting my name. The neighbors called the police. He left before they arrived. Then he started calling our friends, trying to make me look crazy. "She's lost her mind," he told them. "She's overreacting." But none of them believed him. I'd already talked to the ones who mattered. I'd shown them proof. They knew the truth. Even his own brother called him out. By the end of the week, Daniel was alone. No wife, no mistress, no support. He tried to reach me through email, through social media. He even showed up at my job, but security escorted him out. Then Ms. Rivers called with shocking news. "He tried to access your work records illegally." Ms. Rivers contacted Daniel's lawyer with a clear message. If he didn't back off, we'd add harassment charges to the case. We had proof of everything, the texts, the calls, the workplace incident. His lawyer finally told him the truth. He was going to lose big time. The house, mine. The car, mine. Half the savings, mine. Even part of his retirement fund. Because of the affair and the money he wasted, the law was on my side. Daniel tried begging. He sent me an email with "I'm sorry" written 100 times. He said he'd change. He said he loved me, but I knew better. He didn't love me, he loved control, and now he'd lost it. I replied with only 4 words. "We'll speak in court." Then I blocked that email too. There was nothing left to say. The court date arrived. I wore a simple blue dress I'd prepared for weeks. Ms. Rivers had organized everything perfectly. We had binders full of evidence, bank statements, screenshots, witness statements, photos. Daniel showed up in a wrinkled suit, looking tired and angry. His lawyer looked worried. The judge was a stern, older woman who didn't waste time. She reviewed the case quickly. When it was Daniel's turn to speak, he stumbled over his words. He contradicted himself. He got angry and raised his voice. The judge told him to calm down. He looked unhinged, desperate. Then it was my turn. Ms. Rivers asked me simple questions. I answered calmly. Honestly, I didn't cry, I didn't yell, I just told the truth. The judge watched me carefully. At the end, she asked if I had anything else to say. I stood up slowly. My heart was pounding, but my voice was steady. "Your Honor," I began, "I spent 7 years with a man who made me believe I was worthless. He told me I was lucky he stayed, that I'd never survive without him. He laughed at me when I said I deserved better. He spent our money on another woman while I worked 2 jobs to keep us afloat. He humiliated me in front of friends. He lied to my face every single day. But today I stand here not as his victim, but as someone who chose herself. I chose my dignity, my future, my peace. I don't want revenge, I just want justice. And I want him to know he was wrong. I survived. I'm stronger than he ever gave me credit for." The courtroom was silent. Even Daniel looked down. The judge nodded slowly. Judge ruled in my favor, almost everything. The house, the car, 60% of the savings, part of his retirement fund, and he had to pay my legal fees. Daniel looked like he'd been punched. His lawyer whispered something to him, but he didn't respond. Ms. Rivers squeezed my hand. "You did it," she whispered. I felt tears, but not sad ones. Relief, joy, freedom. Daniel tried to approach me after the hearing, but security stopped him. I walked out of that courthouse with my head high. For the first time in years, I felt light. A few weeks later, I heard through mutual friends that Daniel lost his job. The scandal had spread. Leela never came back. He moved into a cheap apartment and struggled to pay his bills. I didn't feel sorry for him. He made his choices. Now he lived with them. 3 months later, Daniel sent me a message through a mutual friend. He wanted to meet just once to talk. I almost said no, but something made me agree. We met at a coffee shop, neutral ground. He looked awful, tired, older, broken. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "I didn't think you'd actually do it. I didn't think you were strong enough." I looked at him calmly. "That was your mistake," I said. "You never saw me, you only saw what you wanted me to be." He nodded, tears in his eyes. "I lost everything, Amira." "No," I corrected him. "You threw everything away." I stood up to leave. He reached for my hand. "Can you ever forgive me?" I paused. "Maybe someday, but not today." I walked out, and this time I didn't look back. Outside, I pulled out my phone and made a call. My new apartment was bright and clean. I'd painted the walls yellow, my favorite color, something I never could do in Daniel's house. I started therapy and joined a book club. I even took a weekend trip to the beach by myself. At work, I got a promotion. People noticed I was different, confident, happy. I wasn't looking for another relationship. I was too busy falling in love with my own life. Meanwhile, Daniel struggled. He bounced between jobs. His family barely spoke to him. Leela posted pictures with a new man on social media. He'd lost everything because he thought I was nothing. But I wasn't nothing, I was everything. And I finally believed it. He thought I'd never leave, he thought I needed him. He learned the truth the hard way. So I built a life worth living. Closing message: the story you have just heard is a beautiful real-life story I heard long ago. I'm telling you to wake your minds to this truth. You are never as weak as someone's cruelty makes you feel. When someone mocks your strength, sometimes the best response is silence, followed by action. If you were Amira, what would you do? Would you have left sooner, stayed longer, fought harder? I want to know your opinion, because every story is like a candle that can light the path for someone else. God bless you, and may courage guide your hands. Meanwhile, on the final screen, I am leaving you with one of the channel's most beloved stories. I am sure you'll love it. Thank you for staying with me until this moment.